Hello, everybody. Welcome to Medicine and Science on the Pod TV network. I'm Nick Palavito. I'll be your moderator for today's show. And today we're going to be discussing some of the breaking news that exist in the world of medicine that you may not get because a lot of movement has taken place. So, with that, we're going to go to our host who knows the most, who's Dr. Michael Patmos, who's actually a physician who's board certified in internal medicine with additional qualifications in infectious diseases and has been doing this work for, I think, 50 years. So with that, no further ado, the person you really want to listen to, which is not an attorney, and it's not RFK, it's Dr. Michael Patmos. So Dr. Michael Patmos, glad to have you here again, and you can give us some of the breaking news, latest and greatest things that have been going on in the world of medicine.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for that introduction, Nick. So, there's so much going on right now. It's a whirlwind of news just in public health and healthcare. Every day we hear another Trump administration physician coming out and saying things that are blatantly false and incorrect about vaccines. It's every single day. I could spend, an hour today easily just going through what these doctors who work in the Trump administration are saying. That measles is not so bad, and you could let your kids get measles, and you shouldn't vaccinate. And even Dr. Malone the other day said that he's not deaf to the calls to remove mRNA vaccines from the market entirely. And he said, just wait until the next ACIP meeting. How does he know what the outcome is going to be of the next ACIP meeting? It hasn't even been held yet. It's obvious to me their agenda, for whatever crazy reason, is to eliminate vaccination. They want to do everything they can to eliminate and distract people and discourage people from vaccinating. But so I could talk about that all day, but that's not what I wanted to. There's so many examples of that. I thought I would focus in on something that actually has really chilling. This really shocked me, and it has very chilling implications that from a legal standpoint. And perhaps, Nick, you'll be able to, help educate everyone about this. But here's what I really want to talk about today. Children's Health Defense, the organization that was founded and run by Robert F. Kennedy for decades, the organization that has made money suing all sorts of people over alleged vaccine injuries. Kennedy has, in an official context, stepped down from running that company when he assumed the job as Secretary of Health and Human Services. But make no mistake, it's still his company. He still founded it, and he may not have a formal position now, but certainly behind the scenes, he's directing what's going on with Children's Health Defense. Well, Children's Health Defense just filed a civil lawsuit against the American Academy of Pediatrics, claiming it's it's organized crime. They filed a complaint under the RICO statute or RICO law, which deals with organized crime. And their allegation in this lawsuit is that the American Academy of Pediatrics and its leadership are criminals in a criminal organization like the mafia, and that they are engaged and act in collusion with drug companies to profit off of vaccines, and that this is organized crime. It's first of all, and they say the vaccines are unproven and untested. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think this case is any merit because the vaccines are all FDA approved. And the second thing is doctors don't make money off of vaccines. And I'll go into more about that later. It's illegal for a drug company to pay a doctor. You can't do it. That's against the that's an it's one of the anti-kickback violations. So it's a federal offense. But anyhow, Children's Health Defense has sued the American Academy of Pediatrics, one of the most prestigious and elite organizations, really a professional society representing physicians in that specialty, having to now spend money, dues from physicians who pay to be in this organization to defend against this RICO lawsuit. Well, this is not the end of this effort. In Texas, the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who's really out there, has opened an investigation in Texas. Now, I happen to have a medical license in Texas. It's one of the 14 states in which I am licensed. But in Texas, the Attorney General has opened an investigation into this alleged corruption and collusion between doctors and drug companies. And his contention is that doctors are receiving illegal payments from drug companies to give vaccines and are thus profiting off of vaccines in an illegal manner. And this investigation is ongoing. This is the next shoe to drop, is criminalizing giving vaccines. And they want to make it so expensive and dangerous and risky for doctors to give vaccines that they just stop giving them. They have this delusion that vaccines are a bad thing and that we need to get rid of vaccines. And to do so, they are taking the angle that these are criminal activities under RICO laws and so forth. Now, let me just talk for a minute about, there's this gigantic myth out there that doctors profit by giving vaccines. Let me clear the air on that. And by the way, Dr. Caitlin Yedalina did a fantastic Substack today on this very topic. I shared it on my LinkedIn page and also on Facebook and on Blue Sky. So if you want to read more from Dr. Yedalina, it's a great article, and she really made it clear. But let me tell you why the idea that doctors make money off of vaccines is false. So first of all, pharmaceutical companies can't pay a doctor to give a vaccine. That's illegal. That just doesn't happen. When I had a private practice in my own office for 20 years, and I, being an internal medicine doctor, I saw patients who were mostly older and mostly Medicare patients. And the only vaccines I routinely gave were influenza and Pneumovac, or pneumonia vaccine. Influenza is given annually in the fall, as you know, and pneumonia vaccine is given once every 10 years. The recommendations have varied from time to time, but usually it's about once every 10 years, 1 dose, 2 doses. You don't have to give it very often to maintain some immunity. For that, the Medicare reimbursement that I received was $7 per vaccination from Medicare. I had to purchase those vaccines and store them in my office. They have to be kept under refrigeration and so forth. I had to pay my medical assistant to draw up the vaccines and administer them. When you add in my costs of purchasing the vaccine and the cost to administer it, at $7 per dose, I lost money on every vaccine. Now, I didn't care, because if you go into medicine to make money, you have gone into the wrong profession. No doctor should ever go into medicine to make money. That's not why you become a doctor. I gave these vaccines for 20 years in my office, knowing that I was losing money. And the reason why? Because I never wanted to see another person die of influenza unnecessarily, or another person die of pneumonia. In the elderly, internists, we take care of mostly older folks, pneumonia is called the old man's friend, because that's what takes most elderly people when they find their final mode of exit is pneumonia. And so, doing anything we can to boost the immune system to resist influenza and then subsequently pneumonia is worth doing. And that's why I gave these vaccines. I never made profit off of vaccines. Most physicians in private practice, if they give vaccines, lose money doing so. That's why many doctors don't give vaccines in their offices. They just refer the patient down to the community health clinic or some other department of health, or to the hospital or or the pharmacy where they can get vaccination. Most doctors just can't. The bottom line is, the margins are so tight that losing money is not something they can afford to do. This is a really big problem in pediatrics, because there's many more vaccines that are given to kids. And most private pediatric offices, it's very expensive to buy all these different vaccines, store them. They expire. You have to replace them. There's administration costs. What you get reimbursed from the insurance company most of the time is below your cost. So many pediatrician practices now don't give vaccines anymore. They refer those children over to the Department of Health or to the pharmacy to get the vaccines. But the bottom line is that physicians do not make money giving vaccinations. Now, where are they claiming these things? Where are they getting this from? They're getting this from misunderstanding the quality incentives that physicians have in managed care plans and in value-based plans. Many insurance companies now, if a doctor participates, in a managed care plan or in the insurance company's quality bonus program, they have these long report cards that they measure annually. They come in, or even quarterly, they come into your office and they measure. Are you managing your patient's blood pressure? What is your patient? How are your patient's blood pressure? What's their compliance? What kind of numbers are you getting? How often do you check their diabetes, their glycohemoglobin? What percentage of your patients with diabetes have a glycohemoglobin below 7%? Are you measuring cholesterol? What percentage of your patients have optimal cholesterol? Are you vaccinating your patients? What percentage of your patients are fully vaccinated? This is all part of maintaining good health. Are your women getting mammograms? Are your patients having pap smears? All of these are measures of the quality of care that a doctor gives. And all rolled up, if you meet certain measures for quality, we all want quality doctors, right? If you meet these measures for quality, depending on the health plan, you may qualify for a bonus. Those bonuses are annual. And they, sometimes as much as $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. It's not a lot. It's a small thing. Personally, I have argued and been involved in my work as a physician executive to try to increase the percentage of the compensation that doctors get for quality. And by the way, patient satisfaction is a big component of these quality measures. So I personally think that we should pay doctors more for quality outcomes, quality measures, patient satisfaction, and less for actual just visits. But most compensation for physician is based on visits. And yes, in some quality programs, the percentage of immunization that you get, if your patients are fully immunized, the higher your rate, you'll get, that contributes to the quality bonus. But it's minuscule. It's a minuscule component of the quality bonus score. Well, that's because there's a quality bonus and because it includes vaccination. That's where Kennedy and these other and Ken Paxton think that somehow this is some giant financial scheme to bribe doctors to give vaccines. No, in most cases, doctors lose money giving vaccines. We do it because it is the right thing to do. And to try to intimidate and threaten doctors with legal action under the RICO statutes is reprehensible. Now, why is this so chilling? Let me tell you, I don't think this case is going to go anywhere myself. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me this case is pretty far-fetched. But just the fact that it's filed means that the American Academy of Pediatrics, is at risk. They have to now hire lawyers, probably outside counsel. It's going to cost them a fortune. They got to fight this thing. It's going to cost them a lot of money. God forbid they should lose. Then the officers and officials of the American Academy of Pediatrics could be, in much deeper trouble and have to pay fines. And maybe this becomes a criminal thing. And, this is the beginning. How many more organizations, what are they going to do next? Name the American College of Physicians, the American Academy of Family Practice as criminal organizations? I love The Sopranos. I watched every episode of The Sopranos, but I am not Tony Soprano. Okay. I don't want to be indicted for under the RICO statutes as a organized crime official for giving an elderly person a pneumonia vaccination. This is ridiculous. It's the point that it has gotten to where it is ridiculous. And I think what they basically want to do is just make it so uncomfortable and so not worth it that more doctors just give up doing vaccination. Their goal is to end vaccination. I've been saying this all along. Their goal is to bring an end to vaccination because they believe a delusion. They believe that vaccines are dangerous, and they're not. So that's what we've got for today. Nick, you're a lawyer. Educate us.
I will. First of all, I've done RICO suits before, but you're going back 30 years ago when I was with Hampton, Palavita, Murphy, Cody, and Levy, and we did litigation work. Our conclusion is that the RICO cases are hard to even get the court to hear them. In other words, it's more fluff and stuff than reality. Okay, but I just briefly reviewed it because I was looking for this case last week and I thought it was two corporations, or I couldn't find it but now I was able to find it. So the first thing I look at, and this is just me, I look at the attorney who filed the suit. The attorney was a guy named Jaffe, and I look at his credentials and his background. The attorney graduated from Columbia Law School, which means he's relatively intelligent, speaks Hebrew and also speaks English. Okay, but here's the problem with Jaffe. He spent 46 years as a sole practitioner. All right, now what does that tell me? That means he doesn't play well with others. In other words, he doesn't work very well with others. I'm just letting you know, Dr. Patmos, when I was working with Hampton, Pallavi, and Murphy, Cody, and Levy, we had 30 attorneys. It was very political. You had peer review instantaneously on all your cases because you had to deal with all these other lawyers. When you're a sole practitioner like he is, he has to deal with himself. That's it. So he gets to make the decision himself whether file, not file, and no one reviews his work whatsoever. So he throws some stuff out. Somebody may have paid him a retainer, throw a suit out, and now whether it's meritorious or not, yet to be seen. And I saw one a couple of years ago, and that was in the chess world with Alexander Starr, where Newman sues Magnus Carlsen for $100 million. I did a quick review and I said, it's non-meritorious. It's going to go down the toilet. It went down the toilet. My quick review is this is the same thing. It's non-meritorious. It's more fluff and stuff, and a guy looking to, a sole practitioner looking to get a lot of what I call publicity out of the case. If it was a large, prestigious law firm who filed the suit, I would have to look at this differently. If it was a Perkins Coie or it's a Cravath, Swaine and Moore, I'd have to look at it differently because Cravath, Sherman, and Sterling, there's a lot of their own reputation and peer review on the line. When it's a sole practitioner who files the suit, then you're going like, what's going on here? In other words, Dr. Patmos, there's no peer review in this whatsoever. And I'm not even sure if it's going to file to survive what they call a 12B6 motion. In other words, this case may be gone before they even get to court. And what people don't know, and this is what I get from the Florida bar, 93% of the cases will never see a trial anyway. They won't. So the thing is, what's all this about? It's all, like I said, it's all fluff and stuff. We'll bring in Rick to get his opinion about it. But my opinion is it's more about, now they also have a couple of their plaintiffs, a couple of doctors. Again, you have to do the same thing. At least that's what I do. I review the backgrounds of the doctors who are plaintiffs, and a couple of anonymous people who purportedly said, my kid took a vaccine and died, and hence it's these people's problem. So this guy's really stretching it. And like I said, if I was, I don't know, maybe Rick knows where you can bet on these things. I would say more likely than not, this isn't going anywhere. It's a dead.
This isn't big enough to have the bookies pay attention. But what I want to say is, while the jackasses in the Trump administration are, screwing up public medicine in the U.S., the rest of the world moves on. A team of researchers in your country, new country, Nick, Spain, have found a 3-drug cocktail that stops pancreatic cancer in mice.
Yeah, but it's only in mice, though. At least that's
but they'll move on to human trials eventually. And what worries me is that the U.S. loses time against.
They lose their leadership position, of course. I mean, and there was a whole thing I put on the internet about the EU versus the United States in terms of child mortality. They're better here. Life living longer, they're better here. In other words, your metrics in the European Union are better than the United States right now. And so the U.S. doesn't, because you're so isolated over there, you don't know how far you're slipping behind. I've yet to go to China yet. But the thing is that you may go to China and find out that you are not in first place anymore. You're in second place. You just don't know it, okay? Because you don't go to these other countries to find out. I did find out about Turkey. Our debt to GDP here, well, not here, but over in Turkey, is only like 29%. In the United States, it's 120%. Okay, but Turkey has a problem. You got to always look at the other side. Inflation there is 30%, down from 50. People have no idea. I got some Turkish lira here. By the time I spend it, it's going to be worth 30% less. It's just the name of the game. But I think, also I'll tell you this. Here's the reputation your country has by Europe. You suck. They hate Trump. They don't hate Trump. They think you're stupid because you have a very stupid president. And it's not me speaking. It's going to talk to all the people who live in Europe. Okay. And, from taxi cab drivers to bellmen to people that moderate to the president of Spain. They really think you guys are slipping. And so what's happening is a lot of the wealth funds are just pulling out of the United States. They go, you guys are falling behind internationally. And if you don't turn that ship around, and this is just my opinion, this ship's going to sink within 10 years. Sink back to number 2 or maybe 3 position. It's just like a football game. You got a bad coach, you're going to lose.
We knew there was excitement because life expectancy in the U.S. is approaching 80 again. It went up. But look at the other developed countries where life expectancy is like, Japan, 85, 87, 88.
You're not even close to that. But it's good to see that life expectancy goes up. But the amount of turmoil that's going on in the United States is
we got way too much turmoil. I've got to tease Dr. Patmos, and I'm going to get away from medicine, but not totally away from medicine and everything like that. But I learned something that I was not aware of, even though I do love this particular animal and everything like that. Used to have some and all along those lines. But Dr. Patmos, I learned that the most genetically perfect animal is not the human. It is not the dog. It is actually the cat, is what I learned. So they said that because cats apparently can see and hear very well and can do a lot of other things in terms of honing skills and everything like that, that they are the most genetically perfect animal and everything, even more so than humans. So I read that from a veterinarian group. So I just wondering your thoughts around this.
Well, I don't know I never heard the term genetically perfect, but all I can tell you, what makes perfection? Longevity or how well you can see. I don't know, but I can tell you, I am an animal lover. I've had dogs and I have a cat, and I have come to the conclusion about what the difference is, by the way, between dogs and cats. See, dogs are loyal, and if you fall down in the snow and die, your golden retriever will lay next to you and stay close to your body until it freezes and dies. A cat will eat you, starting with your eyeballs. Cats, I don't know how genetically perfect they are, but boy, my cat is a real character. But that's a great question, though. But I did want to go back to something Nick said. When I was listening to your answer about the RICO situation, I was thinking, even if the suit doesn't go anywhere, it does a lot of damage because the public has heard about it. Every single day I get somebody attacking me on social media saying, well, how much have you made from Big Pharma? I never made a penny in my life. But the other thing you said that caught my attention was when you said this lawyer who's filed the suit is kind of a bottom dweller guy. Just imagine this. In medicine, what Trump has done is he's found doctors who have the same qualifications as this lawyer, kind of non-board certified, like Dr. Abraham, who runs the CDC. 1 year of internship. He was a GP in rural Louisiana, for years. He has no advanced training at all. So what they've done is they've taken people like the lawyer that you described. They took physicians with the same kind of bottom dweller status and put them in charge.
Right. And the thing is, I've looked at a lot of the attorneys that your friend Donald Trump hired, especially Michael Cohen and his background. He went to the Thomas Cooley School of Law. If you look at the ranking of law firms by law schools, by U.S. News and World Report, and you look at the dead last bottom, it's the Thomas Cooley School of Law. Why would you, as a billionaire, hire somebody from the worst law school in the United States? Okay. It's A, you don't know. B, you feel you can control the person. If you knew, you'd never hire him. Like I said, this guy, now we know he broke up with Cohen, but I'm just saying, I look at the counsel that he hires and they're not the best and the brightest. I mean, even your friend Pam Bondi, she went to Stetson. My brother went to Stetson Law School. Well, one of the person, our friend graduated number 2, Frank Murphy at Hampton Pelletier, he graduated number 2 at Stetson. But Stetson is not a top 100 law school. It's kind of a next 100 law school. Pam Bondi would never even get an interview with the top New York law firms or top law firms. Like she doesn't even qualify for an interview. Yet she's the Attorney General of the United States, and that just tells me that when you're picking them, if it was a football team and you're competing, you're picking the wrong players to play on your team. Pam
Well,
Bondi
yeah.
I got
is
2
not
points.
the
One
person who
is,
does. Sorry.
all right, one is every day, thousands of people reluctantly step away from MAGA, the most reasonable and smartest of the people supporting MAGA are like, no, it's gotten too bad. I have to. But what that means is that if the smartest people are stepping away, then every day the average MAGA gets a little dumber and a little crazier. And those are the people who Trump listens to. That's thing one. Thing two is I looked up life expectancy. The U.S. ranks 61st in the world, which is not good by doing what you did, Nick. And I don't know if you'll get all the longevity benefits, but you gain 4 years in life. Spain, on average, people live 4 years longer, and it not just probably lifespan, but health span, which is how many years of healthy, enjoyable life you get.
Yeah. Part of it is they have fish, fruit, and vegetables on every place you go downstairs. I mean,
well, that's actually what I was going to ask Nick really quickly, because I know we're winding down, but apparently Gen Z, I believe it's Gen Z, I don't think it's Gen X, has discovered a food, and this is where I was curious about Dr. Patmos's reaction, because apparently they have discovered the health benefits, and I saw this article recently as well, of all things sardines. So apparently Gen Z, this is their new favorite food is sardines. So I just wanted your take on this, because this is a new trend among our young people.
Well, sardines are, just off the top of my head, sardines are very nutritious. I believe they're high in calcium, and they have, the eicosapentaenoic acid that, is found in fish oil and so forth. Fish in general, are healthy to eat. But like anything, one of the things we learned, and we did learn nutrition in medical school, sorry to tell you, is that it's important to have a wide variety of foods in your diet. You can't, if all you ate were sardines, you wouldn't be healthy. Sardines are part of a healthy diet, so a wide variety of foods makes for a healthy diet. Most of what you eat should be plant-based, mostly fruits and vegetables, but you have to have a source of protein, and so it's appropriate. We are, we are carnivores. We have as well. We have molars for mashing plant material and incisors for tearing meat. So we are evolutionarily designed to have an omnivorous diet with meat and plant protein. So you want to have a varied diet with lots of different food sources.
Plus, I'm going to give you the answer why we're experiencing this crazy thing from Children's Health Defense and these crazy people. Here's the answer. These people, Dr. Patmos, are selling alternative medicine.
Yeah.
The anti-vax doctors, because I did do some research on that, have a conflict of interest. They accuse others of having a conflict of interest, but basically, I forgot which is McCullough or Malone. They're selling alternative medicine, like the wellness company. In other words, they're anti-spake. They have the magic formula, but it's not vaccination. It's whatever they have.
Right.
So what we have here is a group of people. Now, if you want to know where a legitimate RICO suit should be brought, would maybe be brought against Dr. Malone and McCullough for basically their internal conflict of interest. And they're basically, what they're doing is they're trying to discourage people from using traditional medicine because their alternate medicine is better.
It's more lucrative.
That looks like what's going on. So they're the ones that have the
mentioning diet. You want to eat well, but you also want to have a diet that you can stand, that you can tolerate. And we have so many drugs that will let you eat less than perfectly and still be healthy. I mean, look at Trump. Trump has eaten like crap for his whole life, yet he's in much less worse shape than you would expect because he's got a team of doctors giving him really good drugs that give him defenses against his bad behavior. And we've got, look at Ozempic. Ozempic will make tens of millions of Americans healthier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we're going to follow this case, obviously, because it was filed. We'll follow it like we did with the chess case, believe it or not, that when my initial glance was non-meritorious and it did get tossed. My initial glance on this, it's the same thing. It's non-meritorious, it'll get tossed. The only question is when and by who. But I also do see that you do have a group of people, the anti-vaxxers have a major conflict of interest. They're trying to sell their snake oil, and unfortunately, traditional medicine's in the way. And so the only way they can sell their snake oil, like the wellness company and these detox and all this other stuff, is they got to get rid of traditional medicine. So they have a built-in conflict of interest, and that's what I think is going on. And we're going to keep up to date with this, and we're going to keep our viewers in the United States up to date with us and our viewers around the world. We'll see you next week on Medicine and Science, only on the Pod TV network. Take care. Bye-bye.